Today we're at the Geneva headquarters of FP Journe, one of the most thoughtful, innovative, and interesting watchmakers alive today. We'll be following the process of building one of his most complicated watches, the Grand Sonnerie.
Alors la grande sonnerie, j'avais des clients qui me demandaient de faire des grandes sonneries, mais le problème qu'il y a jusqu'à l'avènement de cette montre, c'est que les grandes sonneries sont des objets très fragiles, que les clients, s'ils les utilisent mal, s'ils ne sont pas prévenus de certaines manipulations, peuvent abîmer. Alors j'ai refusé de faire des montres qui étaient fragiles, jusqu'au moment où j'ai trouvé les systèmes et la manière de poser des brevets pour que la montre soit absolument protégée de l'utilisateur. Donc j'ai commencé à peu près en 2001, en 2000 je crois, à la dessiner. J'ai fini 6 ans plus tard, en 2006, on a sorti les prototypes. Et après on a mis encore je dirais presque une année pour fiabiliser tous les systèmes. Mais je dois dire que depuis qu'elle existe, on en a fait une quarantaine à peu près. Et ces 40 montres, c'est très rare qu'on en ait en retour, en réparation. Elles sont très très fiables.
The most interesting thing about FP Journe is that it's a fully integrated manufacturer, despite the fact that it only makes around 900 watches per year. Every component for the watch, except for the dial, is made in its downtown Geneva manufacture. In the basement of FP Journe, you'll find CNC machines. A CNC machine is responsible for cutting the 18-karat rose gold base plates. Following the CNC machine, the 18-karat rose gold base plate will then go into the electro-erosion machine, which has an ultimate precision of up to 2 microns. The Grand Strike watch chiming gongs are cut out of stainless steel. Several years' worth of chiming gongs will be cut at the same time. The components from the basement of FP Journe are taken upstairs and prepared to be polished and beveled. Each component is finished by hand, and the smallest error would cause the finisher to throw away that component. This, for example, is mirror polishing. It can take up to 4 hours to polish a tourbillon cage to have a perfect mirror finish. The watchmaker here is now inserting jewels into the base plate. Next, the watchmaker will begin to assemble components on the base plate. Each chiming gong for the Grand Sonnerie must be completely beveled by hand. Placing the chiming gongs into the Grand Sonnerie takes the utmost precision. Once the chiming gongs have been inserted into the Grand Sonnerie, the watchmaker will then test the resistance of each hammer. Visible through the sapphire caseback, the striking racks activate the hammer of the Grand Sonnerie. When the strike is released, the rack drops into their respective cams. They are then immediately engaged by the striking train and lifted to the end of their travel. As the rack lifts, their outer teeth engage the gathering pallets to strike the gongs. Once the watch has been completed, there will be a final polishing of the case. What many people do not know is that FP Journe also owns its own dial manufacturer on the outskirts of Geneva. Here you see one of the new FP Journe gold dials being polished with a diamond tool to provide a perfect mirror polish to the numbers integrated into the dial. It should be noted that this dial will not go on a Grand Sonnerie, but is representative of many of the processes used to make dials for FP Journe. Here we see the blue chrome dial of the chronometer blue. This dial is actually the most difficult to produce for FP Journe and sees only a 30% success rate. Here we see the small sub-second dial being placed into the main dial, and then fixed with a minuscule amount of glue using a tool the size of a sewing needle. The paint is transferred onto an FP Journe dial using a homemade gelatin pad kept at a very precise temperature. The paint is transferred up to 6 times to give the numbers the exact required FP Journe bomb shape. The dial is then examined by computer to check for imperfections. The galvanoplasty workshop allows the dial manufacturer to create different colors for its dials. Depending on which color the dial will be, it could be dipped in silver, red gold, white gold, or ruthenium. Immediately next door to FP Journe's dial manufacturer is its own case maker. After the case has been produced, it will take several rounds of polishing to give it a perfect form and shine. What makes the FP Journe Grand and Petite Sonnerie so interesting is that it completely mitigates any user error. It is incredibly wearable, it's usable by anybody. You don't need to understand how it works to use it properly. On top of that, the case is in stainless steel, it's not in gold, it's not in platinum. The reason for this is that FP Journe decided that he would use the metal that has the best resonance capabilities, and that is stainless steel. I think what FP Journe is doing today is really cutting-edge watchmaking with respect for the past without living in the past. Finally, while the Grand and Petite Sonnerie is in fact the most expensive watch FP Journe makes, it is significantly less expensive than competing watches with the same complication.